What if I told you that the research shows that there is one main thing you can do to create more ease and peace and joy in your home, and it's something that you're perfectly designed for and evolved to do, could dramatically improve your child's behaviour, would support their intellectual, emotional and physical development, is completely free, takes only minutes each day to do, and would massively benefit your mental health as well as theirs? And what if I told you that this key to transforming your family life has nothing to do with rigid discipline, elaborate reward systems, or constantly holding exhausting boundaries? It's something far, far gentler and far more effective, and actually a whole lot easier. This is like a parenting cheat code that allows you to melt away all the cold, hard tension and resistance in your child, not through pressure or force, but by simply turning up the warmth a bit. We've seen this simple shift transform families time and time again, and it's not about working harder, it's about working with your child's nature and your own. It's something simple, ancient, and disarmingly easy. It's connection. In this video, I'm going to talk you through why all this warm, fuzzy, cuddly stuff is much, much more important than you might realize for your child, and may well be the key to shifting the challenging behavior and conflict that you're experiencing in your family. Why most of us are unintentionally falling short of giving our children the connection that they need, and why this is entirely not your fault. And I'm going to talk you through how you can start to turn up the emotional warmth in your home and gently melt the ice that's making your family life feel so hard. There's now an abundance of research and evidence available about the importance of building strong attachment with our children. The bottom line of this research is that connection with our children isn't a nice to have, it's a developmental necessity. That's great, you might say. That's actually what I want. I want to have happy, easy times with my child, walking hand in hand on the beach and reading bedtime stories together. But my child's behaviour makes it so hard. They're so prickly, difficult. They're always acting out, tantruming. They're resistant. They talk back. They're putting so much pressure on me I can't function in my daily life, let alone have time and energy to plan sweet, carefree picnics in the park. So it looks like we have a chicken and egg problem here. Connection would really help with their challenging behaviour, but challenging behaviour is making it so difficult to connect. And to many of us it seems logical that we can only get to the close and cosy connection part with our children after they start behaving well, after we remove all this pressure that they're placing on us. But the reality and what the research shows is actually the opposite. Connection is actually our fastest and most reliable route to cooperation. When children feel safe and seen and valued, their behaviour naturally shifts to a more cooperative place. The pressure releases. The parts of our children's brains that allow easy cooperative social interaction with each other, things like care, compassion, empathy, are all activated when they feel safe and seen and connected. We can only unlock these parts of our children's behavioural repertoire through connection. The thing is, if we're feeling a lot of pressure in our relationship with our child through challenging behaviour, clinginess, rebellion, defiance, very often this is a sign, a symptom of needing more connection. Because unfortunately, the way children ask for connection is not generally a direct, polite request.
Please, Mother, can I have more connection? It would make such a difference to my brain chemistry.
No, more often it looks like fighting, defiance, withdrawing, clinging, demanding, acting out. It may even look like pushing us away and freezing us out. Why? Because our children's number one evolutionary task is to secure the amount of connection they need from the adults around them. If you think about this, this makes a lot of sense. A child comes into the world completely helpless. It's only through connection with us that they get all of their other needs met. Connection is so vital to their survival that they'll attempt to secure it through pretty much any means, from asking, pleading, whining, clinging, to throwing potatoes at you or calling you a stupid dum-dum head. And we kind of know this, don't we? If you think how often you've said or heard the words, "She's only doing that for attention." Well, yeah, she kind of is. The problem is that we sometimes forget that this attention is actually vital to her survival. The problem that we have, and that our children have, is that their brains and nervous systems evolved at a time when it was reasonable for them to expect not just us, but 15 or so loving adults to surround them. Our children's ancestors back in hunter-gatherer times were loved and cared for and supported by 10 to 20 loving, caring adults. This is what our children come into the world expecting. Their evolutionary expectations haven't changed, but the world sure has. Our poor babies come into the world to find one or two, if they're lucky, stressed, overwhelmed parents, trying their absolute best to provide all of this love. It feels hard because it is hard. The reason it takes a village to raise a children is because we were evolved to be raised by a village. If our children don't receive the level of connection they need, and let's face it, it's not surprising that this would be a challenge, over time they may start to look elsewhere for this connection. Friends, social media, ways to numb themselves and the pain of this unmet need. It becomes harder for us to connect with them because their nervous system starts to freeze up to protect them. When our children don't quite have the level of connection they need, it's a bit like they're frozen, stuck in a rigid, hard repertoire of behaviour that's designed to reactivate the connection that they need, or that redirects them to find it elsewhere, or that numbs them and protects them from the pain of not having what they need. But connection, because it's so innately wired into us, is incredibly powerful. Some of the most dramatic changes I've seen in the families I've worked with and experienced time and time again in my own family, by the way, is when parents introduce small, consistent efforts to reconnect with their children. This leads to the most radical shifts in behaviour and in whole family dynamics. The warmth of consistent, regular connection melts this hardness. When our children experience consistent, regular connection, they shift naturally into a nervous system state that's more relaxed, more open, more loving and cooperative. The mistake we tend to make is thinking that connection is something big and extravagant, something that we can't really achieve easily. We might imagine that we need to find the money and time off work for a holiday in Fiji, or weekly father-son camping holidays, or perfect birthday parties, or giving up our careers so that we can have constant child-directed play. We might even push ourselves to do some of these things and then exhaust and deplete ourselves. Our energy runs out. But one sudden blast of heat isn't going to work as well as small, consistent efforts. It's about sending our children consistent, regular, frequent signals of closeness and care. What we're wanting to do is to turn up the thermostat by a degree or so. Think of small, frequent, low-energy actions. Things like eye contact and a warm conversation during breakfast, a quick laughing game of chase, a few minutes sitting on the couch together while they tell you about their day, lying together, even in silence for a few minutes each evening, a squeeze on the shoulder and a warm smile when you walk past them in the hallway. The key is not the overwhelming impressiveness of any one of these actions. It's the regularity and frequency, the consistent warmth of the intention, the repetition. Every day, many times each day, we can send our children these small signals that we love them, that we care for them. These signals build up. They gradually bring the temperature up. And if they just keep coming, our children can start to expect, to anticipate, to rely on them. They can relax. They can start to thaw in our love and affection. For some children, there will be a shift almost immediately. As soon as this warmth is switched on, the cooperative parts of their brains are activated and the family dynamic shifts. But for some children, it can take longer. They may be starting from a place of deep longing and be quite frozen in their reactive state. If this is your child, don't panic. You're not alone. Rest assured that consistency is key here. By gently, persistently bringing up the temperature in your relationship, over time you will see this shift. Think of it this way. Below freezing temperature, bringing the temperature up a degree or two is not going to make a difference. But once the air temperature reaches melting point, just one extra degree of warmth will trigger the melt. You're probably never going to be able to do the job of 15 adults. None of us can. But what we can do is create regular, frequent, consistent connection that gives our children enough of what they need. Wherever you are right now, whatever your starting point is with connecting with your child, how can you just show up with just 5% more warmth and presence today? What are some specific ideas of simple things you could do each day to just turn up the thermostat by a couple of degrees? When you're thinking about this, consider what feels comfortable and natural to you. What would be meaningful for you and your child? What would they enjoy? And above all, what is manageable for you? What can you easily, joyfully do today without any extra strain? If you ask yourself the same question each week for a few weeks in a row, a month from now, you will have raised the temperature significantly in your relationship with your child. And if you would like to, I would love for you to add your ideas in the comments below for 2 reasons. Firstly, if you write something down, you're much more likely to do it. And secondly, I would love the comments on this video to become a valuable resource to you and everyone watching it. We may not have 15 or so other loving, supportive adults around us, but by sharing our wisdom with each other, maybe we can give each other a little bit of this love and support in this very modern way. So think of it as a tangible way that we could reach through the screen and support each other. And if the idea of introducing regular, consistent connection with your child feels really hard to you, you are not alone. The truth is that when you're overwhelmed, when your child is pushing every button, and especially when you did not experience consistent, loving connection in your own life, it might be very challenging for you to take this first step. In my next video, which I'll link here as soon as it's live, I'm going to walk you through a really simple formula that we share with parents in our courses that you can use to turn up the thermostat and build deep connection with your child, even if you never received this in your own life. A simple way to start melting the ice.